proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us. Brought to you by kingofamazon.com. Go to kingofamazon.com when you do your shopping for Amazon to help the King of Podcasts. Shop for Amazon at kingofamazon.com.
When I really get enjoyment out of a lot of other wrestling content that's out there from basically everybody else, it does feel like a challenge to watch anything WWE programming, except for a few different things that keep my interest. But for the most part, watching Raw, SmackDown these days have been more or less just background filler for what I normally do, other kind of work that I'm working on. It's just there up on my screen just to watch, but it's hard to pay attention. And it's hard to really get into and get engaged in. I mean, it's just kind of there. And, you know, the draw of this pay-per-view Money in the Bank tonight was the corporate ladder match. And, the way they set it up, it is what we heard about it. And, we'll talk about it. For me, the outcomes are fine. I have no issues with who they gave the briefcases to. The way they got there is a different story. But, again, when you have to go and watch a pay-per-view that is a B-level pay-per-view, not one of the big four, a B-level pay-per-view which has a gimmick match that all of us really enjoy for the most part, they gave us that. Now, it was definitely different, but for the most part, I really struggle to watch matches without a crowd. It looks nice. The matches are well done. I got no complaints with that part, but the ambiance, the way it's set up, it's really tough. And I see that WWE wants to go ahead and put out surveys and try to ask their audience what they think about having audiences out there or having other people watching it on Zoom. Again, why don't you just go ahead and just experiment with this? At this point, you have a falling audience. Anything would help. Try anything. Just stick it on the wall. See if it works. But they probably don't want to do that because they want to be consistent. For as if they do start experimenting with things and it starts hurting the audience even more, it's almost like an Eric Bischoff WCW Nitro experiment. You don't want to do that to the audience either. I get that part. But you got to do something to add a little more to the audience, because right now, all they can do is what they're doing right now. This sports entertainment only works with an audience. I mean, if it does, when it is effective, it works with an audience with reaction. But there's no reaction here. You feel like every star that comes out has to do their normal gimmick, their entrance, and then when they come out, it just feels like it's so bland because there's nothing to go to it. They build it for an audience to get the cheers and get the adulation. They have nothing off of that to work off of. So the way they're doing it right now sucks. Like, even when I watched Impact Wrestling and watched Rebellion, it was more or less like that too. But it wasn't so bad. I mean, even they went a little cinematic with their own stuff on the Rebellion pay-per-view a few weeks ago, and that was okay. But really, I struggled to watch this on a regular basis. As for the matches, they're good. But again, when they put this all together, it's just really tough of all that's going on. And I mean, they gave us a gimmick that made us want to watch this pay-per-view. That's fine. That was a good thing. Otherwise, that's all we really got from it. And it's not much more than that. Everybody else was a title retain. No title changes tonight. Nothing. So when you're coming off of WrestleMania after all that, and then you're here and you're saying to yourself, okay, where are we moving along with things right now in storyline? Well, let's look at it. Jeff Hardy, with a long-awaited return, defeats Cesaro, 13 minutes, 30 seconds. New Day retained the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match, their titles in the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. And it's a match I just did not care about. The tag team match was just... Ugh. Forgotten Sons are a non-established gimmick. There's no backstory to them, nothing. But I don't know if it makes a difference, because when you look at how the Viking Raiders are brought in, or how you brought in AOP, same thing. It's like, is it really that much being done to help build these guys up? They're not. And that's the problem. And the other problem is that when you're putting certain stars here that are part of the SmackDown tag team titles, Forgotten Sons, you're not doing anything on SmackDown with most of these stars here to position them on Fox. Here's the other problem. When you have certain stars, they are not bankable, huge scale box office, like real top-notch talent that's going to draw you across the board. When SmackDown has certain stars that are not unnoticed, and you don't even want to take the time to introduce them properly to the Fox audience. The Fox. You don't want to introduce them there, and you want to just kind of leave them out there and say, okay, these guys that are all dressed up like bikers, these are the guys that are going to be in a match with New Day, who we know, with Morrison and Miz, who we know. We barely know Lucha House Party, and that's it. So it's New Day and Miz and Morrison, and that's really who we know and who we actually pay attention to on SmackDown. The Fox audience is wondering, okay, what the hell are we going to do with them? Like, what is this going to be all about? Like, you're putting these matches together leading up to this fatal four-way, and then we're seeing them together, and I'm like, okay, it's just another variation of a match, which is all we're getting right now. And that's what sucks. And here's the other problem. The Usos, one of them gets hurt, so they probably would have been in this match right here. But Forgotten Sons are brought up for the sake of the Usos. So there you go. You got lack of star power. You got lack of people that want people to watch. So Forgotten Sons are being brought in this, odd man out position, and they're hurting. And you ask yourself, how much time did the Forgotten Sons really get to build themselves up in NXT? Same thing. And that's the problem. It's what we have with all of this. I mean, Jackson Riker is the wrestler people remember as Gunner from Impact Wrestling for wrestling fans. But Steve Cutler, Wesley Blake, you're brought into this gimmick, which you were kind of just like two no names from NXT on the bottom end of the rung, and then you're brought into this faction here. And there's nothing to this faction, nothing about it. And that's what the problem is. I don't know what you do with that there. And honestly, like, Lucha House Party in the same way. Okay, high flyers. But they really don't make much of a difference here either. And especially when you don't even have Kalisto, who's the one that people remember more than anything else. It was Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado. You got a couple of 205 Live guys, pretty much. But they haven't gotten much attention at all either. So when you're looking at this, you're like, uh-huh. So there's that part. Then Bayley wins over Tamina in a 10-minute match. Bobby Lashley of R-Truth. That was quick. Anyways, it's kind of just a buffer in between championship matches. So Bayley over Tamina, a 10-minute, 30-second match, which is 10 minutes, 30 seconds longer than I want to see Tamina in the ring. This is such a thrown-in, forced-upon push for Tamina. A quick push. This is like they're kind of making it like a Mark Henry push in like 1 month, or an R-Truth push for John Cena. That's what's happening here. Bayley right now is getting this initial 1 month push from Tamina out of nowhere. She comes back and automatically she's championship contender. Really? And yeah, they're building a little bit with her and Sasha having a little bit of animosity, but then that kind of really subsides because Sasha helps out again and Bayley wins the match. And Tamina wasn't even that good in the match this time either. She was kind of, I know some people feel mixed about this match. I saw some of the responses out there on Twitter. I didn't feel much about this at all. Now, the Braun Strowman Bray Wyatt match, this company's not going to take enough time to really build Braun Strowman Bray Wyatt. They're not going to do it. It's not for them to do. So they're going to struggle with this right here. And there was not much sense to be made at the end of the match where Braun Strowman all of a sudden then puts on the sheep's mask, the black sheep mask. There's not much of a rhyme or reason. It's just like, okay, we're going to put this into the match and just say, okay, Braun Strowman all of a sudden, he's going to just give in. No. But obviously we see a Bray Wyatt was taken care of and easily beaten, by the way. Bray Wyatt just gets beaten all the time. It doesn't make a difference. Especially when it's a title match. Bray Wyatt is so broken. This whole character is broken, and it's like, all right, we're here, and just doesn't add much to anything. There's just not much spark at all to this at all. Drew McIntyre over Seth Rollins, match of the night. I think more so that I feel like this match was better than what I saw on Money in the Bank. For Money in the Bank, I think the outcomes were pretty good, but that's what we got. 19 minutes, 20 seconds for this match. They gave this match a lot of time, and Seth and Drew really had a good showing. Drew McIntyre gets the respect angle at the end, the shaking hands, and I'm saying to myself, all right, well, I don't see where Seth Rollins comes back into this again. I don't even know where they put him now. But Seth Rollins came out with new entrance music and still wearing a woman's jacket with a fur. I don't get that part. But anyway, Seth Rollins is a nothing character right now. I don't like it. The Monday Night Messiah doesn't make any sense. It's just a name. In name alone, that's all he is. But there's nothing else. And that's what's the situation. This is one of your top guys. And also, you got to remember, no Roman Reigns, no Brock Lesnar, no Becky Lynch. Like, you're lacking star power here. And Seth Rollins getting beaten handily, but in a very good match. But that's about it. And then the gimmick match, which I guess is not bad if you're not seeing all your top stars in every pay-per-view. I guess that makes sense. But again, the situation is what it is. So, not much. So I'm not going to say much when it comes to the Money in the Bank ladder match. When it comes to what they did in the corporate end, I mean, yeah, you saw cameos that were kind of interesting, pretty easy cameos for corporate. They basically took certain people that were very corporate. So seeing Steph and seeing Vince and Johnny Ace and stuff like Laurinaitis, all right, and Brother Love, Bruce Pritchard, yeah, all of that is kind of amusing, but that's about it. The way the match was set up, I mean, it felt important when we got to the roof. And the way they got to the roof was kind of hokey. It was just a hokey match altogether. And I guess that's what they figured to do. It's like, one thing I kept noticing was just what corporate looks like over there. One thing it does look like corporate, for a corporate entity like WWE, it really does say a lot about the building itself. When you look at those conference rooms, I mean, oh my God. That's what I have to say more about anything else. How creative can you really be when you have an environment like that at Titan Towers? Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of places that look pretty nice. They have a few different things that are kind of like for photo ops and things like that when they want to have people go and have a tour in the building. That's fine. But let me tell you, they got a lot of conference rooms in that whole building. So you're saying to yourself, corporate, team building, shit. You're not getting anything from it. Could you imagine all these people going in for creative, and these are the kind of places they have to go into? What kind of fun environment does it look like for anybody that wants to go and work in television or work for WWE? Does that really look amazing, exciting, and special? Like, they got a good commissary in there. That's pretty nice. They got a nice old spread. Other than that, corporate. It looks cringeworthy to me. Like, I would probably hate working in that environment. And my thing is, it doesn't feel like it's like the Googleplex, which is like kind of a fun atmosphere, and you see everybody like that. Like, we didn't see the cubicles in there. When you see, like, Vince got a, decorated office with the dinosaur stuff, I get that part. And there's little decorations that is conference rooms, but again, they're conference rooms. Like, there's not much more special to that. Like, I was just not, some of that. And then the gym makes almost sense because I guess then you have all of the people on staff that are able to go and use that gym anytime they want. Vince and the others probably going to use that whenever they want as well. That looked fine. I didn't get the neon W's across the top. It looked like a damn fast food restaurant. I didn't get that part. But the food fight sucked. Every time you do a food fight, it's for the kids, and it sucks. What did look well decorated was the roof. The plants and the green lights, that actually looked pretty good. I didn't mind that so much. But the inside stuff, I think we should have just kept everything up on the roof anyway. I think all the matches should have been done on the roof. Should have done the whole damn pay-per-view up there. Because you could have had those crane shots, the drone shots going on. Tape the whole damn thing. Instead of the Performance Center. I would have preferred that. Maybe you could have had some matches that were taped at the Performance Center like you normally do. But I would have preferred some matches actually happen at Titan Towers themselves. At WWE headquarters. I would have preferred not just the Money in the Bank ladder match. I would have preferred more matches going on up there anyway. And then do like you're going to do with, everybody on the bottom floor working their way up. But felt like there was a lot more they could have done with it. But again, it's a mid-level pay-per-view. I shouldn't expect that much. But again, we are grading on a curve, and it's hard to grade on a curve here even more so because you can just tell where the audience is not much into it. They're kind of just struggling with it, and they're not feeling much about it. It's just kind of there. So it's tough to watch. It's tough to get engaged into and trying to hear. There's no change to the approach or delivery of the content. They're going to do it as if they have a full arena there. This is supposed to be in Baltimore, Maryland tonight. Not going to happen. And it's going to be a while before they get that kind of audience. They have not decided to adapt at all. All they did was, okay, we're going to make the best of a situation, but we're not going to change the content or the style of our programming at all to cater, which this is the problem I make mention of, and I'm sure I said this on the previous podcast, the fact that you feel like you're still in quarantine. You think about that you're still in a bad spot, social distancing, all the things that you think about that you hope that WWE or wrestling in general will get your mind off of for a few hours. That's what you hope it will do. But this doesn't do it. It doesn't cut what you're looking to do because you see empty arena, and even with the lights around looking all nice, same thing. And then when you're listening to the arena and there's nobody around to even kind of like add a little noise, this is where AEW does a better job. And really, AEW and the fact that other shows have content they already had, put out beforehand, things like that, or just going to put on something older. When I look at it, AEW, at least with like 10, 15 people in the arena, and you hear like noisemakers and things like that, and a little interaction, does a lot more to make the matches feel at least a little more normal. Because I'll tell you what, I don't mind the bingo hall, like, oh, look, 10, 15 people in the crowd. A lot of the wrestling fans can relate to being at a small bingo hall or National Guard Armory or a gym watching a pay-per-view or watching a show. Because look at what they're going to probably do in a couple of weeks when we get to Double or Nothing. It'll be the same idea. They'll do something like that. Maybe they'll go to the dailiest places as well. A few people in there. I don't know if they're going to have actual fans there. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. But it's going to be an interesting way to do that. But you have that set up, right? And for this pay-per-view, I think if you really do make some changes up. Because here's the thing. If you're doing the matches on the roof, at least you're going to hear roof noise. You're going to hear surface noise, you hear the highway, something else going on that'll help you get your mind off of things. And that's a good thing. I would mind that. So I'm just going to leave it right there. There's not much more to say about this pay-per-view. It's just kind of just a pedestrian type show, and that's pretty much what I got out of it. So I'm going to leave it there. What I'm going to do for you is this. There is a story that I didn't get to talk about that happened earlier this week, which I think, is something that's going to be worth talking about. It's not something I would normally bring up, but like I said, if I'm going to go and give you, if you guys went ahead and committed time to go ahead and check out the recap of the show tonight, and you want a little more context, I'll at least do this. There is a video, of course, I do my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JBRASCO951, or just search for King of Podcasts on YouTube. And from there, and it's also on my website, wrestlingisreal.com. Again, wrestlingisreal.com. That is what I have. So with that, what I have for you is the Tom Segura situation, the guy that says that I think wrestling is for fucking retards, and that caused the outcry that everybody else was talking about. I'm going to bring that up for you tonight because I did a 20-minute recap of what he was talking about, and I actually went through and talking about the fact he was basically roasting people, and people got upset about it. Now, I want to bring that up and let that be brought up. I'm going to talk about that. So that was the one thing that be brought up I wanted to go at least let people know about, was that I went ahead and commented about that. I'm going to play that for you in a little bit. Now, there is one story that's coming out tonight. Alberto Del Rio has been arrested. I don't know if he is released on bond or not, but at the moment, police are saying that he allegedly tied up and sexually assaulted a victim for several hours. So here's what we got originally so far. He allegedly assaulted a woman sexually, told her he would drop her son in the middle of the road. So police say that Alberto Del Rio, or Alberto Del Padrone, whatever his real name is, Jose Alberto Rodriguez Chucuan, was arrested Saturday morning and charged with sexual assault, released later in the day on $5,000 bond via personal recognizance. The incident has to have happened on Sunday, May 3rd at 10 p.m., and the victim told police she had photographs to document her injuries. So Alberto Del Rio faces a minimum of 2 years in jail if convicted of the charges. As the latest of a series of disturbing incidents involving Del Rio dating back when he was dating Paige. So that's another story that just came up as well. Keep that in mind. There's the other story we could talk about where people are saying that it sounds like Mickie James is the new hacker. Learning about that. I guess we could talk about the wrestlers falling off the roof during the Money in the Bank ladder match and where they actually went. But I don't have much to say about that. And there's not much else to say. I think it's just kind of like there. So we'll leave it all there for you. I'm going to go ahead and come back now to give you a 20-minute clip that I have up on my YouTube feed, but this is the first time I'm putting it out here on the Wrestling is Real podcast, is all my commentary when it came to Tom Segura, the comedian, about what he said about wrestling fans that really got people worked up. And got the likes of Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler to chime in. So we're going to talk about that. Take a look at my clip that I recorded just 2 days ago about Tom Segura right here on the Wrestling is Real podcast. Take a listen. King of Podcasts here with a Wrestling is Real podcast extra. And I hope you will consider helping me out with watching this channel, subscribing to it, hitting the notification bell so you never miss a video, and listen to my podcast, Wrestling is Real podcast, heard every Thursday at WrestlingIsReal.com. You can also help me out by buying all your Amazon purchases through Amazon at this special link, kingofamazon.com. That's kingofamazon.com, and I hope you do that. Tom Segura is a stand-up comedian, writer, actor, and a podcast host. He hosts a podcast called Your Mom's House Podcast. And one of the rare Wrestling is Real extras that I do, because I don't do many of them, but this is something I would not normally put in my own podcast. Because I don't do gossip, and I don't do the back and forth, how people just get all upset and up to a feather over everything. A tither, that's the word, a tither. My thing is, look, I'm not looking here to be funny. I try to. I'm not the funniest person in the world. I don't have jokes like Tom Segura here, but, I try. Naturally, I'm not a professional. What can I say? I'm a professional podcaster. That's what I am. So I'm here to go and talk about Tom Segura and his wife, Christina Pazsitzky, and some comments they made that really got the wrestling Twitter and the wrestling community, the internet wrestling community called the IWC, upset. So he made some comments. We're going to go and talk about those. We're going to play a little bit of a couple of clips that he actually had from his show, a recent episode of his Your Mom's House podcast. So here's from Forbes. The story is Twitter lashes out at comedian for anti-wrestling commentary. What you know you should when you're going to get yourself into this, you should know very well, and I'm sure Tom knew very well, if you're going to make comments delegitimizing professional wrestling to fans who watch it as a guilty pleasure, of which I've watched for 35 years, okay? Listen, we know, and he knows. So I'm not necessarily caught up into the issues that everybody else is about about being upset with Tom after what he said. What's more important is about knowing what he said, finding the full context of things, and how this trolling got wrestlers to talk. That's what happened. Let's go and talk about it. So Alfred Kanua at Forbes.com, he writes this. So Tom Segura is receiving backlash from fans for inflammatory comments made about the industry in a recent episode of Your Mom's House podcast, talking about the anti-status quo of reminding viewers that the product is fake. I will play the clip for you now.
An adult watching Puppy Dog House.
So many guys love wrestling. I think wrestling is for fucking retards, but
it is.
But so many people
like it.
It is the fucking stupidest shit, and I think you're a fucking tool.
Okay, when you see that clip going out there, you just know it took 20 seconds for every wrestling fan to going like they are raging up. It's like roid rage automatic. I get that part. And when you see a clip like that, it looks like they were just starting their show. I'm guessing because I have not watched the podcast. Okay. But I know the full context of it. I'm just not a big fan of comedy podcasts. You know, I mean, I can watch Joe Rogan, who's a comedian, but he's not necessarily trying to be always funny on that show. He's always informative. And that's the one show I actually listen to it all. Or actually, I don't even listen to it so much. I actually watch it because I can't listen to 5 minutes of commercials of him just talking about, you know, everything. Oh, my God. Commercial after ad after ad after ad. I can't do it. Watch on YouTube. It's much better. So anyway, back to Tom.
If you're like,
Yeah.
hey, man, it's not fake. It's fucking fake. And you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But
Grow up.
they're not real fights. These are just stunt people.
But imagine.
And the fact that, like, guys are like, man, did you see the Undertaker?
That's who he loved.
Like,
He liked Undertaker.
Jesus
and
Christ.
he made me go to a WWE event in LA when
it's
I was.
pathetic.
But some people might have heard it and not try to go listen to the rest of it. They would have gotten so outraged and said, you know what? I can't listen to this anymore. And they would have dropped off. But see what happened right here. He just mentioned his wife. He dragged it to a WWE show. And Tom Segura just made mention he's a fan of Undertaker. Okay, moving along.
It's pathetic.
I'll
You're
tell you
a
what,
pathetic
though.
person.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty fun.
What was?
The event. Going to a live wrestling.
Yeah, so's the Special Olympics. It's a fun thing to go to. But it's not real. It's not a real.
He's trying to play it up. He's a funny guy. What do you expect him to do? First of all, this is where it comes down to people getting upset. You know, I'm going to say it like this. Listen, you want to comment as you want. Go on the YouTube comments. Go right ahead. I don't mind. This is comedy where he's a put-down guy. Okay, Don Rickles. Go Google him. He was one of the best. Equal opportunity offender. Okay, Dave Chappelle's the best example today. All right? Doesn't matter race, creed, culture, nothing. Nothing was off limits. So this guy, because he knows he's doing a podcast, and he decides to go after and bash wrestling fans. Hey, you know, wrestling fans are not sanctimonious, okay? We're not, you know, without blame. You know, we can be ridiculed and cajoled. I don't have a problem with this. And I was wondering how many other people are, because I'm really surprised the kind of outcry that the wrestling community got over this. Because I see some of my podcast brethren in wrestling. And here's the other thing. I didn't want to do this on my podcast. I want to have my face saying this to my podcast brethren out there. And I understand some of you are upset, but there's no reason to. And because the fact that, you know, it is a joke. Take a joke. He was making a joke. I really believe that. Now, he probably does shit on the industry, but why does it matter? Why are you warning on somebody who's not even like a real serious fan? He's probably a casual fan, like many of us know out there that don't watch the product much anymore. Again, name drop Undertaker. So he could have been talking about it at any time. Who knows if he's watched the product as of late in a while? But the thing is, he's talking about it. You know why? Because he probably sees it on TV because there was nothing else to watch on. Maybe he's run through his Netflix. Who knows why they're talking about it? But they know people are talking about it. They see it on Twitter all the time. Why not take it as a hot button subject? Push the button, piss some people off. He's roasting wrestling fans. And, okay, let's move along. We're halfway through.
Real competition.
Of course not. But some people do. The people who think it's real, they are R-worded, definitely.
They're completely retarded.
Yeah. It's for children. It's not for, but when it's a male adult.
If you're over 11 and you're like, you see SmackDown last night? Jesus Christ.
That's how this guy was. And he knew all of them. And
then he tagged in his partner. And then they grabbed a chair. Man. I never thought we would see the day
I know.
The Bass Brothers would hold the belt. What the fuck is wrong with you?
And then he would tell me the saga. He's like, and then, Vince McMahon, he's the bad guy. And Vince owned the whatever. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's how the ads for wrestling should be. It should be like, WWE, this is for diminished capacity. That should be their tag for the fucking wrestling shit.
We uneducated.
Jesus Christ. It's not a real sport.
They're so dumb. An adult watching.
I'm just telling you, and I have been able to say this on my program. I love wrestling fans. I love wrestling, professional wrestling. I love for a long time. So you know the stereotype they talk about wrestling fans in the first place, okay? But what he is saying is true. I'm not saying anything against all the fans out there, and I'm not even trying to point my finger at any podcast brother of mine at all. What I'm saying is this: is the fact that Vince McMahon does play to the lowest common denominator. Okay, he does dumb down the product. He doesn't make it that smart. Doesn't make it that. He makes it pretty simple for anybody to watch because it is for kids. Initially, he's trying to make this for kids, right? So that is the part. We are watching it as grown children. Okay, it's just like if we're watching anime. It's just like if we're watching whatever. That's just the way things are, and I get where they're coming from right there. And so, he is gearing it up. Okay, he is court jester here on this program. His wife is, kind of just playing along. And look, this guy's got 4 Netflix specials. The guy must be doing pretty good. I kind of find him funny. This was a roast. And for everybody to get upset about this. And by the way, the one person that I was actually surprised about that even got so upset about this really surprised me was Dolph Ziggler. But I got to bring this up here. Now, let's get back into the story here. Okay, I'm going to cut this off. Now, and I'm going to play the second part where he comes back afterwards, because he felt like he needed to, during the podcast, kind of put things back into perspective for anybody that caught this, because he probably knows as he's doing this, the roasting is going to unfurl some feathers. And he did. So he did do something in the podcast that came from. He actually called it back out. So let's talk about it here. Now, Alfred in the Forbes article says, needless to say, the wrestling's world is not taking too kindly to the popular community's remarks. Given pro wrestling's extreme niche appeal as a stimulated competition, necessary evil of pro wrestling fandom is enduring criticism for detractors. Wrestling's passionate, at times rabid audience, he's absolutely right, is infamous for lashing out at those within the industry when wrestling is fake. Listen, I have a show that's called Wrestling is Real. I mean, I have to talk about this. This is like my well here. I'm guessing I'm going to get some search results that are going to be in my favor because people are going to look for Wrestling is Real. There you go. This is me. I do that show. Thank you very much. So here's the other part. So Segura's comments proved to be no different. As the star of his comedy special Ball Hog, he also became a trending topic in pro wrestling Twitter circles. The clip is now fully viral. So many stand-up comedians at all levels enjoy pro wrestling. Tony Hinchcliffe, Ron Funches, Dan Soder, Mike Lawrence are some of the other names. Tweets have been fast and furious. And here are some of the people that have gotten upset. Here we go. Jason Solomon, who is the Solomonster. Solomonster sounds off. He does a great show. Big-time podcaster. Got 100,000 more listeners than I got. But he made his points known. He says, legit have no idea who Tom Segura is or is the woman next to him. But so he didn't, he just kind of took it for face value right off the bat. Probably didn't know all the context, but this is right off the bat, initial first response. But the fact we still have people shouting, it's not real, right? In 2020 tells me all I need to know. So Healed by Nature, this is where I got it from as well. This is what came up. And then Dolph Ziggler, who is one of the prominent veteran WWE superstars, former champion, multiple champion in different areas, tag or singles, and a working comedian and a Hollywood star and a pundit on Fox News and things like that. He decided to make his point across here too. I'll put this out to be a little bit bigger for all of you. This is what Dolph Ziggler said. Hi, Tom. Big fan of both of you and Christina P. for years. I'm a former collegiate wrestler turned professional wrestler and a lifelong wrestling fan. I've been with WWE for 15 years now, and we are the epitome of sports entertainment. I feel like part of this here was like he needs to defend the industry that he works for because this is bread and butter. And he makes money off other stuff, but this is important to him, right? There are villains, heroes, undertakers, superheroes, and everything in between for children and adults of all walks of life. We're just like any TV show, movie, and even podcast, except our risks are much more real. Sans Tom Cruise hanging on the outside of Elon Musk's spaceship. I'm extremely proud of the incredible work wrestlers continue to put in every day, and I am pleased with our product, usually. I will assume this is a comedic take from someone having fun. If not, I am always willing to discuss a professional business, wrestling business at any length, time, or any place. And I see Tom Segura took him on the offer. It's like, I hope those guys go ahead and, they go and talk it out. But again, my point of this whole article is that the people that got upset about this and really got upset, because here's what happens. Some people saw that first clip. They never saw the second part. Here's the second part of a clip from that podcast that people didn't know.
Of course I understand why people love wrestling. It's awesome. Those guys are real athletes. Maybe it's like stunts, but try that. You get fucking hurt. Those guys are the real deal. And the drama involved, I mean, you can follow it like you can follow anything. It's like a show. It's like a fucking soap opera for men, and I think it's great. I fucking love wrestling.
There you go. I bet you some of you didn't even see that. And it's because of the Twitterverse. It's because of the media, the way things get out virally. So many people are to jump to the conclusions so quickly on wrestling Twitter. This just happened today. And then I see, you know what I did? I was like, you know what? Hold on a second. First of all, I blew it off a couple of times when I kept people saying about it. But it's like, then the rumbling started coming. I'm like, all right, I got to go look up Tom Segura because he started trending. I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on here. And I read it, and then I follow along, and I see people commenting, obviously fans of Tom Segura's show, and they said, no. Okay, he said that, but he's a wrestling fan. He's a wrestling fan. And he called out what he was saying later in the show just to make sure people that got upset. But you know what? People didn't like a roast. Tom, hey, you know what? You got people to go ahead and get pissed. Hey, mission accomplished, man. You were roasting. And the truth is, people don't appreciate a good roast. That's what he did. He roasted wrestling fans. And Dolph Ziggler even had to go and call himself out and say, you know what? Hold on. He might be just making a joke. And he did. But for the truth is, I think Dolph Ziggler probably knows it's a joke, but he feels like he needs to go ahead and put himself out there because he would be the kind of guy that will probably handle Tom Segura really well, being, he does a little comedy here and there. So, like him or Mick Foley would be suitable to come on this show, and I think they'd probably have a good podcast together for all I know. And like I said, he probably doesn't mind having him on. Listen, Tom Segura, he's doing a good job as his podcast. I don't know how many downloads it gets, but he must be doing very well. Obviously, he has himself out there. He's getting Netflix specials. That is a pretty good bar to reach. He's got 4 of them, so he must be doing well. And whenever he gets back out there, I'm sure he gets some stand-up gigs, and that guy's not short of dates when he gets back on the road after this pandemic subsides. But hey, man, draw people to your podcast. Let's talk about pro wrestling. Let's piss some people off. That's what he did. And, hey, man, bravo. He did it. All I'm saying to my podcasting brethren out there, you're gonna hear a lot of podcasters, those of you the wrestling fans, because I know a lot of other people will not watch this, but I know there's some wrestling fans out there that will watch this, and they'll say, man, that fucker Tom Segura, that piece of shit, that cocksucker. No, it's a roast. So, yeah, you want to be like, okay, all right, you piece of shit. Yeah, I get that part, okay? So even me was getting a little bit like, what the hell's this, man? But I understand where he's coming from. Excuse the language. But honestly, I got no problem with this. I take it as a roast. And the thing is, I wasn't going to wait until, next Thursday to go ahead and talk about this. I just recorded my podcast 2 nights ago. And I'm saying to myself, you know what? I can't wait past the weekend to talk about this. It's just too fresh right now. So, yeah, Tom Segura roasted everybody. And I'm going to be surprised for some of these people that are going to realize this wasn't a roast. They're not going to know the second part of this. And this is where wrestling news people, one of the people I follow, Sean Ross Sapp, he laughed. He saw what it was. So did I. That's the whole point. You know, I mean, hey, I actually kind of take it where pro wrestling is getting a little bit of attention because this guy, you know, is a mainstream, you know, comedian, and somebody for the mainstream besides that's not sports is bringing us up. Now, what you should hope for, wrestling fans, is that Tom Segura might be trying to get himself called out to go and get in the ring. Listen, if Tom Segura and Tom Ziggler work each other out, and we get something where like SummerSlam comes out, and then Tom Segura gets himself out there, and the problem is there's just no crowd to go off of this with, but you could do something with this guy, have him in the ring, and just do it and do a angle with him. I think that would be good. I mean, there might be enough people that will see this and they'll realize what's going on and do that. And I'd love to see that happen. I think that'd be pretty funny. So anyway, I'll leave it there. It was a roast. I believe it was a roast. If you think I'm wrong, you'll let me know, okay? All right, guys. Talk to you next time. So later this week, we'll do a show. We'll talk about the fallout from Money in the Bank, see what they decide to do with it, see who Asuka or Otis are going to cash their briefcases in on. And by the way, what is that going to look like when they can't cash in the briefcase like they would normally do without that audience response? Because if nobody gets to have that, or if people are going to hold on to that, will those briefcases be held on to for a while until the fans come back? That's a real important question. Talk all about that coming up in the next episode of the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast, brought to you by KingofAmazon.com. For more information on how to subscribe to the show, how to share the Wrestling is Real podcast to listeners like you, and check out the latest wrestling headlines, go to WrestlingIsReal.com. That's WrestlingIsReal.com.